Hey everyone! So in our last tutorial, we see what are the software testing basic fundamentals, what are the basic practices of the software testing, what actually the software testing is, what is the correct time to perform the software testing, what happens if we do not perform the software testing at the correct time and just we release our product, what are the impacted areas if the software testing is not done in our product, then what can hamper it, and so on. So as we are now clear with the basic practices of the software testing, we can move ahead, and in today's tutorial we will see what are the different type of software testing phases. What are the different type of testing that we perform in our day-to-day SDLC life cycle. Okay, so as you can see, we have different type of software testing phases. The first one is your unit testing. Then we have the integration testing, system testing, UAT, basically known as your user acceptance testing. And last but not the least, we have the regression testing. Now, all of these kind of testing is basically done to ensure that the product that we are deliver is as per the expectation or not. What are the exact definition? What we do in all type of testing phases, we will see in our upcoming slides. But before moving ahead, we will see V model. Now, what is the V model? Why V model is useful and what V model emphasizes. So V model is a kind of model that is combine the project phases at the one end and the testing phases at the another end. This is the model which is very useful to ensure that all project phases are correlated with all type of testing phases. As you can see, we have the business requirements, then we have the functional requirements, technical requirements, and the development and the unit testing. And at the right hand side, we have the unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and the user acceptance testing. So at the one end, we have the project phases, and at the another end, we have the testing phases. So this is the V model. First type of testing that we have in the phase of software testing is unit testing. Now, what is unit testing? Who perform the unit testing? And is it really necessary to perform the unit testing? So, all the answers of these questions we will see in this slide. Unit testing is a type of testing which is a very initial phase of any type of testing done at the developer end. This testing is done to ensure that whatever the product or whatever the module that is created or developed by the developer is buildable or not. For example, there is one window or a website that is created by one of developer, and that website consists of different frames, different buttons, different clickable buttons. So developer test that website by clicking their buttons and ensure that whether that website is working fine or not, so that it should not be like that they have delivered something to the testing team and it is not working. So just to ensure that whatever they have created is working fine or not, they do the unit testing. So that's why, that is the reason unit testing is done at the end of the developer level. Unit testing is done to ensure a different unit or the modules of the product. As you can see in the V model, as soon as the development and the implementation is completed, this type of testing is done. So this is the unit testing. Now, is there any type of dependency of the business analyst role in this type of testing? So rarely business analysts engaged with unit testing, and if they are engaged at some time, then what they do? They create the test cases, they write the test cases to test the functionality, and then they review the test results. Are they working as expected or not? So this is the role of the business analyst in this level if they are there. Mainly this type of testing is done by the developer only. Then we have the integration testing. Now, what is the integration testing? As its name suggests, integration testing is a testing which is done after integration different modules, after combining different modules, and then to ensure and then to test those modules to ensure that at the one unit, at the larger unit, they are working as expectations or not. So when we combine different components together, then we test to ensure that after integration they are working fine or not. And this is the only phase where we find as many as bugs and the defects, because here the larger unit of the components are under the test. So this is the only phase where we can find as many as tests and the bugs if they are present in our software. And that's why this is the only reason, if this type of testing is not done, this is the main reason for any of the project failure. In the V model also, as you can see, integration testing is correlated with the technical requirements. So this is the another way to check whether the technical requirements are completely done or not. So that are also covered in this type of phase, integration testing. Now, if we can see, is there any dependency of business analyst role with this type of testing? So usually business analysts engaged in this type of testing if there is no quality assurance team available to test this phase. If there is no testers available to test the product, then the business analyst came into the picture. And what they exactly do? In this phase, they write the test cases. They write the test cases as per the functionality to test, and then they review the test results, whether they are meeting the expectations or not. After the integration testing, we have the system testing. As its name also suggests, again, it's a type of testing which is done in the full software with the whole environment available as a complete system. And this is the last chance for any of the team to ensure that what exactly the software is as per the required expectations or not. So to validate the software, to validate the business requirements, system testing is very important testing. In this, there are different type of tests that done to ensure whether the software meets the business requirements or not. In the V model, as you can see, system testing, it correlates with the functional requirements. So the functional requirements are upcoming from the business, upcoming from the customers. So in this phase, ensure that the software meets the functional requirements or not. Now the next question, if we can see, is there any dependency of the business analyst role in system testing phase? Then yes. Business analysts are fully and always engaged in this type of testing. What they exactly do in this type of testing? They write the test cases, they execute the test cases, and also they analyze the test case results if required. So mainly they are fully engaged in this type of testing. Then we have the user acceptance testing. So the user acceptance testing is the last and the final phase of testing, which is done mainly by the client, customer, or the stakeholders in the real life scenario, in the real time environment, to ensure that the software is working fine in the real time environment or not. So this is not done by the main testers. This is not done by the business analyst, although they are done by the client, customer, or the stakeholders. As you can see in the V models, user acceptance testing is correlate with the business requirements. So this is the requirements that are upcoming from the client and the customers. That's why this is the reason UAT is mainly done by the stakeholders, client and the customer. Is there any kind of dependency of the business analyst role in this type of phase? So yes, the answer is they are almost and always engaged in this type of testing. And what are the role and what are their activities in this type of testing? They create the scenario, they analyze the test result, manage the defects. At the time of testing and the validation, if they find any issue, then what they do? They manage all those issues. They ensure that all those defects are fully resolved or not before delivering any software product to the customer. So the role of the business analyst in this type of phase is very critical and important. Last but not the least, we have the regression testing. Now, what is the regression testing? Regression testing is performed after the initial testing is completed. So the regression testing is a type of testing which is done to ensure that whatever the new implementation or the new functionality is integrated in our environment, in our product, should not impact the basic and the previous working functionality of our product. So to ensure that the new changes that we are done should not break the previously working functionality, we perform the regression testing. The regression testing is very tedious and a boring activity, as we are just repeatedly testing our basic functionality after integrating the new one. But it is very important and critical type of testing, because this can be happen. We perform, we integrate the new functionality, and it can impact the previous working functionality, and the previous working functionality is not working anymore. So this can be the possible way. So to ignore that, we perform the regression testing. So it is very important type of testing.